So when you launch Unreal 4, you're going to get, and you can sign in or go offline, but you get this little launch button, of course, and we're going to click the launch button, and it's going to take a minute to launch the project window. So here we have our project browser, and we're just going to scroll down to our Blueprint side scroller. And at the bottom of our screen here, let me just pull this up, we have the project name and also a little drop down. If you click the drop down, you can move the folder where you're going to be saving your project. And I'm going to do that right now, so I'm just going to go to my desktop and go to our side scroller right in here, and I'm going to make a new folder, and I'm just going to call this Unreal 4 Project folder. Okay? And I'm just going to name this Unreal 4 Side Scroller. And I'm going to click Create Project, and it's going to create our project for us. So here we are inside of Unreal 4, and when we first launch our project, it gives us the side scroller template, so this will give us a really good opportunity to be able to talk about a few different things for our project. Now, if you're familiar with UDK, this is going to be fairly straightforward. It's not going to be, that complicated. But if you're not familiar with UDK, fine. I'm just going to go over the user interface fairly simply. So along the top here, we can save our project, we can look at the content browser, we can browse the marketplace, we can look at our world settings and quick settings, and our quick settings are going to be things like only load visible levels in the game preview, or change the real-time audio. Our world settings are going to be things like physics and game modes and damage and light mass, but we're going to get to that in a minute. So what we're going to be really interested in is this little play button right here. So if you click it, it's going to launch your game, and if you use the WASD keys on your keyboard, you can go left and right, and if you hit spacebar, you can jump, and you can jump on stuff and have lots of fun. And to end the level, just hit escape. Now, Unreal 4 moves around like a first-person shooter, so to maneuver around your world, you're just going to use the WASD keys. And if you want to look around, you can hold the right mouse button and just look around. And you can pan your view by holding the middle mouse button. And you can also use the left button to move around in a kind of a simpler view. You just hold down the left mouse button and you can move and look around at the same time. I personally like to use WASD and the camera because it reminds me a little bit of like World of Warcraft, which is, has some good controls. So we have a lot of different things here, and we're going to get to them, but right now we're going to look at our content browser. Our content browser has all the different things that come with Unreal 4. So it has animation sequences, static meshes for architecture, sound files, basic blueprints, the characters, there's a maps folder, a materials folder, all different sorts of things. But we're going to create our own project folder so that we know where everything is. So I'm going to select Game up here, and I'm going to click New Folder, and I'm going to call this 3D Motive Tutorial. And now we have a little folder for all our own stuff. So this window next here is going to be all the things that are inside of the folder we have selected. So right now we're inside our 3D Motive Tutorial folder. And I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to make a new folder, and I'm going to call this Meshes for all our models, and I'm going to make another one called Materials for all the materials we make, and this last one is going to be called Textures. Now we can double-click into these guys, and we'll be inside our Textures folder, and we can right-click, and you're going to import asset2/game/3D motive tutorial/textures. Very simple. So I'm going to click this button, and it's going to open up my Windows Explorer, and I'm just going to navigate to my folder, side scroller, textures, and all of our textures are in this folder. So I'm just going to import all of these guys. One of the cool things is that Unreal 4 actually auto-turns your normal maps to be classified as normal maps. UDK used to have to tell it to do that individually, so that's all nice and done. And I'm just going to import all of my textures. We got our cables. Awesome. So now we have all our textures imported. We also need to import all of our models. So I'm going to import, and I'm going to go up to our meshes, and I'm just going to import all of these guys in. Now, when it opens up, it's going to tell us what asset type is this. Is it a static mesh, a skeletal mesh, or an animation? It's a static mesh, and we're going to import the normal tangents that we have, and our LOD stands for level of detail. So when you move out from an object, it'll switch to a lower level of detail so that you can keep your world optimized. And I'm just going to leave that all as it is. Make sure it's set to static mesh and import normal. And I'm just going to hit import all, and here's all of our stuff. Now, we have everything set up here in our folders, so what we're going to do is I'm going to right-click our 3D Motive Tutorials folder, and I'm just going to save it. Your first save is going to take a little bit because it's turning everything into these .u asset files, but it'll be a lot faster for all the times that you have to save after this one. So now that everything has been saved, we're going to actually start building our level. And we're not going to build it in this world because this world already exists. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our File and New Level, and we're going to create an empty level. And we're going to not save anything that we changed in this map. And here we have our blank level. Now, my little workspace screen is a little small, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and just scrunch this up a little bit more so we have a little bit more workspace. This top panel here is going to be all the actors that we can work with. So let me just bring this back out so you can see it a little bit easier. We can place simple cubes or cones. We can place lights. We also have post-process volumes, atmospheric fog, exponential height fogs, sphere reflection captures, which we'll get to in a minute, deferred decals, and then we also have things like cameras, player starts, box triggers, sphere triggers, notes, target points, volumes like blocking volumes, which are going to make it so that your character can't move any further from that, camera blocking volumes so the camera won't move. Kill Z is if your character falls down a pit, when it hits the kill Z, it'll kill your character. Light mass character indirections, light mass important volumes. A lot of these things we're not going to talk about, but when we do get to the ones that we are going to talk about, I'll talk about them. Now here is our world space, and you can see that we have a grid on the floor here. And if you're starting to move around in your Unreal scene and you see that your camera moves way too fast, you can come up to the top right here to your camera speed, and you can set that to like 1, and then you'll move a lot slower, which is nice. Additionally, we're working in our perspective mode, but if you want to work in a different view, you can click perspective and go to your different views. And also we have lit, unlit, wireframe mode. I'm going to set it to unlit since we're not going to have any lights in our scene right now. So we're going to start fleshing out our level, and we'll get started on that in a minute.